Have you ever had one of those moments? Maybe you're just staring out a window, or it's late at night, and everything suddenly feels a little strange, almost unreal? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on reality itself.
Now, seriously, just think about this for a second. What if you, the person you believe yourself to be, the life you think you're living, what if it's all just a dream? A kind of deep psychological sleep. And here's the kicker. What if there was a way to actually wake up from it?
Okay, so where do we even begin a journey like that? Well, this is basically our map. First, we're going to dive into why we so often feel like we're just running on autopilot. Then, we'll get into the actual tools to help us take back the controls. And finally, we'll talk about the real cost, the price of what it means to truly, truly wake up.
All right, first things first. We have to get a handle on the state we're actually in right now. And the jumping off point for all of this is it's a fascinating and maybe even a little unsettling look at how we go about our lives every single day.
So, it really all starts with this fundamental split that we have inside of us. See, there's our essence. That's the real you, the authentic inner self. But then from the moment we're born, life starts building this personality around it. Think of it like a shell. This personality is everything we've picked up along the way, our habits, our opinions, all of it. And here's the crazy part. Most of us go through our entire lives thinking that this mask, this shell, is who we really are.
And because we're living from that personality, we basically operate like machines. Seriously, we don't really act, we just react. Something happens out there in the world and boom, a predictable thought or emotion gets triggered, just like someone pushed a button. We walk around thinking there's this single unified I driving the bus, but that's not what's happening. In reality, we're just this chaotic jumble of different, often contradictory I's. You've got the angry I, the happy I, the worried I, and each one just grabs the steering wheel for a few moments. There's nobody truly in control.
So if we're asleep, if we're just running on autopilot, how in the world do you even start to change that? Well, the very first step is actually pretty simple, but don't let that fool you, it's incredibly powerful. We have to, for the first time maybe ever, turn on a light in our own inner world.
And that light is called self-observation. Now, this is crucial. It's not about analyzing yourself or beating yourself up or criticizing anything, not at all. It's simply about becoming a neutral witness to your own inner machinery. You just watch. You watch your thoughts, your moods, your knee-jerk reactions, almost like you're watching a movie about some stranger. And when you do that, for the first time, you create a separation. There's the part of you that's watching, and then there's the part that's being watched. That tiny little gap right there, that's where all the freedom begins.
Okay, so watching ourselves, that's step one. That's huge. But what do you do with that awareness? Where do you go from there? Well, that brings us to the next tool in the toolkit. If self-observation is the flashlight, then our next practice, self-remembering, is about consciously stepping into that beam of light.
And this is where things get a bit deeper than just watching from a distance. Self-remembering is all about a state of, let's call it, dual awareness. So you're aware of what you're doing, reading a book, talking to your friend, but, and this is the key, at the exact same time, you're also aware of yourself doing it. There's a little part of your mind that is consciously going, I am here, doing this, right now.
And this quote here just nails it. When you can actually manage a moment of self-remembering, you suddenly see your own automatic behavior for exactly what it is. It's just the machine doing its thing. You realize, wait a minute, that's not really me. That's just it talking or it reacting. And in that realization, this little space opens up. And that's the space where your real self can finally start to breathe.
Okay, so if these tools are so powerful, you might be wondering, why can't I just do this all the time? And that's a great question. Well, it's because there's this incredibly powerful force that is constantly, and I mean constantly, pulling us back into that state of sleep. And that force is called identification. Think of identification as the superglue that keeps us stuck to that machine. It's what happens when a thought, or a feeling, or heck, even a movie, completely hijacks our attention. In that moment, you don't have a feeling anymore, you become the feeling. You don't have a thought, you are the thought. That sense of I, that observer we were talking about, poof, it just vanishes. And we're just carried away, completely swept up in it.
I mean, think about it in your own life. When you're totally lost in an argument, and you're defending your point of view with everything you've got, where's your awareness of you? It's gone, right? You are the argument. Or when you're completely absorbed by a worry about the future, you become that worry. And honestly, this is how most of us spend most of our lives. Just losing ourselves, being yanked around from one thing to the next.
But here's the amazing part. The moment you actually succeed in not identifying, that instant where you can see the anger rising up inside you but you don't let it consume you, wow. It's this incredible feeling of liberation. It's literally like a heavy chain you didn't even know you were wearing just shatters and falls away. You get it, in that moment. I am not my thoughts. I am not my emotions. I am the one who is aware of them.
Okay, so once we have these tools in our belt, self-observation, and this practice of non-identification, now we can actually start to do some real inner work. We can begin to consciously change our inner landscape. And not by pushing things down or suppressing them, but by actually transmuting them, changing them from one thing into another.
Now, this next idea is pretty radical, so stay with me here. This system of thought basically says that negative emotions, anger, jealousy, self-pity, fear, they are not a necessary part of being human. Think about that. They're actually more like foreign invaders that we've just sort of picked up along the way. And even worse, they act like a massive energy leak, draining away the very fuel we need to do this work of waking up.
So, how do we actually work on that? Well, one of the main things that fuels all this negativity is something called internal consideration. It's basically our constant self-obsession, right? That little voice keeping score of what people owe us, how they should have treated us. It's all about me, me, me. The antidote to this is external consideration, and that's a conscious act. It's the effort to step outside of yourself and genuinely try to see the world from someone else's shoes, to understand their reality without it being about you. This is a super practical, really powerful way to just starve out that negativity. Now, I know this all sounds fantastic, maybe even a little too good to be true, and you'd be right to think it doesn't just happen on its own. It absolutely doesn't. It takes a very special kind of fuel, a type of effort that's completely different from the struggles we deal with every day.
Look, we all make effort in our lives, right? The effort to go to work, pay the bills, raise a family. That's what we could call mechanical effort. Life just forces us to do it. But conscious effort, that's a whole different ballgame. That's the voluntary effort you make to remember yourself in the middle of an argument when all you want to do is get lost in the anger. It's the effort to observe yourself when it's so much easier to just blame someone else. It's an effort you direct inward, pushing directly against the powerful current of your own machine.
And this is where we zoom out, because this work, it matters for more than just our own personal sense of peace. The core idea here is that the chaos we see out there in the world is really just a giant mirror reflecting the chaos that's inside each and every one of us. Why do so many awful things happen? Well, it's because humanity as a whole is operating in a state of sleep, just mechanically reacting to things instead of acting from a place of real, true consciousness. So you see, waking up, it's not just some selfish personal project. It's a genuine contribution to the entire world.
So you see, this isn't just some abstract philosophy to think about. It's a practical roadmap. Waking up isn't this huge, far-off event that's impossible to reach. No, it begins with one single, small, conscious choice. So I'm going to leave you with this question. If this work can lead to a whole new reality, what is just one conscious effort you're willing to make today? Just one. The journey starts right now.